Man, I don't know. It's been saying a lot, but the fact of the matter is we're going to find out on June 28th. Everyone knows who the real champion is. Man, I just want to win. You know, that it's meant to be. It's already written.
Charles Oliveira sends a chilling warning ahead of UFC 317, declaring destiny sealed as he vows to dismantle Ilia Topuria. Recently, UFC color commentator Laura Sanko, along with Din Thomas, shared some sharp analysis of the matchup on the one-on-one YouTube channel. While Sanko acknowledged Topuria's rising stock, she couldn't hide her surprise at just how heavily the odds are stacked against Oliveira.
Ilia Topuria is 28 years old. Charles Oliveira, 35. Ilia Topuria, obviously 16-0, undefeated. Charles Oliveira, 35-10 in overall. I'm going to go off their last 5 record, I think, moving forward, because to me, that's the most relevant to whatever we're talking about. Charles Oliveira has had a couple losses in his last 5. He lost to Arman Sukqian, he lost to Islam Makhachev. I think those will be interesting things for us to discuss. Obviously, Ilia Topuria.
Despite Oliveira's wealth of experience and physical advantages, odds makers have positioned him as a plus 320 underdog, while Topuria comes in at a whopping minus 410 favorite. Sanko, while favoring Topuria slightly overall, questioned those odds and pointed out several reasons why Oliveira might not only keep this competitive, but win outright.
I think the size is an interesting thing to think about. It's funny when we have these fights. So, Ilia Topuria, I looked, and he is a minus, as of right now, which we're doing this fairly early, minus 410 favorite. And Charles Oliveira is a plus 320 dog.
Oh my God, that makes me change my mind on.
I know. Listen, no. I must be crazy. Like, I was literally thinking about like how I'm going to say this on this video, because I have so much to say about how I think Charles can get the better of Ilia. And it's not that I think Charles should be favored. To be clear, I do favor Ilia in this fight, but those odds to me are wild. Absolutely wild.
One of the key things Sanko emphasized was Oliveira's size and reach. Compared to Topuria, Oliveira carries more length and frame, which could be a significant factor in how the fight plays out. His ability to use distance, control range, and transition fluidly from striking to grappling are tools Topuria has never really had to deal with against someone of Oliveira's caliber. And that's precisely where Sanko began to see cracks in Topuria's recent performances, moments that could turn into full-blown openings for someone as lethal as Charles Oliveira.
It's gorgeous, but there are moments that you can think about where you're like, you know what? If it was Charles Oliveira doing this to him, like the Bryce Mitchell fight, right? Bryce takes him down, and Bryce got some good shots on him on the feet as well. And I was watching, I was like, you know, if this was Charles Oliveira, I think he would be in some big trouble here. The Jai Herbert fight, you know, you watch him get knocked down, get head kicked by Jai Herbert, knocked down, and of course he comes back and he knocks Jai Herbert out. So that's what we all focus on. But it's like, I saw him meet that head kick in a couple other fights as well. Not nearly as hard as he did against Jai, but it's a thing that he gets touched with in a few fights. I don't know. I just see...
There's an undercurrent of disbelief from Sanko about how easily people are writing Oliveira off. She sees the flaws in Topuria's game that could be exploited by someone as seasoned and dangerous as the Brazilian veteran. Despite her official pick leaning toward Topuria, she made it clear that the betting line does not reflect just how tight this matchup could be. And it's not just her. Many in the MMA community are questioning the heavy underdog label placed on someone with Oliveira's resume.
Comfortable in the pocket, both offensively and defensively. And I feel like you don't develop that level of an offense without having first developed a level of defense that will support it. Because on the come up, you don't let you just stand there and rip off combinations without making you pay for it. So whoever coached him from an early age did a really good job of instilling the defense, because there are so many people in MMA that when they train pads, they only train, or at least they train 80-20 offense to defense. And that's not how a fight works. And when that's how you hit pads over and over and over and over again, I know because I did it.
And that resume is one for the history books. At 35, Charles Oliveira stands as one of the most decorated fighters in UFC history. He holds the record for the most submission wins, most stoppage wins, and the most performance bonuses in the UFC. That's not a resume to ignore, especially when matched up against a relatively untested, albeit highly talented rising star like Topuria. Oliveira's path to this moment has been filled with highlight reel finishes, comebacks, and victories against some of the toughest names in the division. This will be the third time he fights for a vacant title. He's been here before, and he knows exactly what it takes to rise to the occasion.
Ilia will fade.
Yeah, that last fight was an interesting one to watch. It's not the best version of Michael Chandler, and I guess you have to keep that in mind. However, that was a fantastic performance by Charles Oliveira. The only thing I will say, I didn't realize, because Charles has been in so many 5-rounders, that's the only time he's ever gone 5 rounds, ever, was that fight.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. I
had to double check myself several times. He's only gone 5 rounds that one time. And I will say that last round was looking a little, that's when he was starting to lose his grip on what was happening.
And that's actually, it makes sense. Like, if you've never been 5 rounds, again, that's mental fatigue. Mm-hmm. That's mental, you're just not used to being inside a fight for that long. And then when you're in there for another 5 minutes, you're like, wait a minute, this is awkward.
What do you think of the narrative that Charles is chinny? I mean, is that concerning to you? Do you agree or do you disagree? He's been knocked down by Chandler, Poirier, and Gaethje, but and Islam obviously knocked him out, or knocked him down, and then so it subbed him. But it hasn't been since, not with Beneil, not with the second Chandler fight. I don't know.
I mean, everybody, if you get clipped, is a little chinny, right? Like these, we're talking about the best of the best.
Took an overhand right, and he dared to stumble.
Everybody at that level, if you get clipped, you're gonna be, it's. In fact, I'm more willing to say that, when you got a chin like Nate Diaz, that's the anomaly.
While some may feel that the lack of an active champion diminishes the stakes of UFC 317, Oliveira certainly doesn't see it that way. For him, a title fight is a title fight, whether there's a current belt holder or not. The fact that the belt is vacant doesn't take away the significance of the moment or the magnitude of the challenge. He's stepping into the octagon with one goal: to walk away with gold. And this time, he's facing an undefeated opponent, something that makes the task even more thrilling.
No, it doesn't change anything. It's a title fight in the end. It doesn't matter if there's a champion or there isn't one. It's a title fight. You got to go in there and win.
Yeah, and is this maybe the most exciting title fight they could do for you right now? Because everyone else in the top 5 would have been a rematch right now. Ilia is a fresh opponent to you, so does that make it, I guess, more exciting and interesting to prepare for?
Você acha que essa é a melhor luta que eles poderiam ter te dado, assim, porque o Ilia é um cara que você ainda não enfrentou. Várias das outras lutas seriam revanches, né? Então, isso te empolga mais de enfrentar um cara que você ainda não enfrentou?
Com certeza, principalmente no hype que ele vem vindo, né? Um cara invicto, com certeza te deixa bem gigante.
For sure, especially the hype that he's coming, and he's undefeated. It's something that makes it even more exciting.
But what makes the matchup even more intense is the personal edge it's taken on. Leading up to the fight, Topuria hasn't held back. He's made dismissive remarks about Oliveira's fight IQ and skills, comments that haven't gone unnoticed. Oliveira has kept his cool publicly, but it's clear he's been paying attention. He feels the disrespect, he knows what Topuria's been saying, and he's looking forward to settling everything on June 28th. For Oliveira, this fight isn't just about reclaiming a title, it's about reminding the world who the real champion is.
Você é tudo que você fez, você acha que ele é assim com todos os adversários ou tem alguma coisa com você que ele tá sendo desrespeitoso?
Cara, sei lá, por tudo que ele vem falando, mas na realidade dia 28 a gente sabe quem é quem, todo mundo sabe quem é o campeão da categoria, essa é real.
Man, I don't know. He's been saying a lot, but the fact of the matter is we're going to find out on June 28th. Everyone knows who the real champion is.
As a fighter who's seen the highest highs and rebounded from crushing lows, Oliveira doesn't fear the pressure. In fact, he thrives under it. He's made it clear that he's coming for redemption, not just against Topuria, but against the narrative that he's no longer elite. And while Topuria has dazzled fans with his unbeaten run, he hasn't faced someone with the same resume, skills, or killer instinct that Oliveira brings to the octagon.
Charles, I'm sorry, I'm fighting for my dreams. Do you remember what he said?
Ele fala alguma coisa na rede social, tipo, pedindo desculpa pra você, pedindo desculpa que vai ter que fazer o que ele tem que fazer, mas ele tá lutando pelos sonhos dele.
Cara, na realidade, a gente já estamos lá dentro, vai fazer 15 anos, né? Eu já vi muitos desses caras que falaram muita coisa, que eu desisto, que eu vou perder, que vai me nocautear, que vai finalizar, e aí chega na hora e eles não fazem nada. Então, como eu falei, eu respeito todos eles. Esse é mais um cara que eu respeito, mas do mesmo jeito que ele tem sonhos, eu também tenho sonhos, tenho promessas, então eu vou buscar isso aí o tempo inteiro.
Oliveira isn't entering UFC 317 just hoping for a win. He's convinced it's already been decided. The phrase he keeps repeating is, "It's already written." He believes this moment, this victory, is part of a larger plan. There's a calm certainty in how he talks about it, like someone who's seen the final page of the story before it's even unfolded.
And I just want to win. You know, that it's meant to be. It's already written.
As predictions from fighters and analysts continue to pour in, ahead of UFC 317, many are weighing in on how the explosive showdown between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria might unfold. Among those offering insight is lightweight contender Armen Serukian, who has confidently sided with Topuria. While acknowledging that the bout will be far more competitive than some might expect, Serukian pointed to Topuria's exceptional finishing instincts as a key factor. In his view, Topuria's power, precision, and relentless pressure give him the tools needed to stop Oliveira, and he's standing firm in his belief that Ilia will get the job done.
Очень тяжелый бой, но все-таки я думаю, что Topuria сможет финишировать Оливейра.
Though Armen Serukian admitted that Charles Oliveira has the tools to pull off a win, he remained firm in his prediction that Ilia Topuria holds the edge. According to Serukian, Topuria's boxing and wrestling are on another level compared to Oliveira's, giving him a significant advantage in the matchup. He also highlighted vulnerabilities in Oliveira's approach, suggesting that while Charles can be dangerous in specific positions, Topuria's superior takedown ability could neutralize those threats. In Serukian's eyes, Ilia won't face much resistance getting Oliveira to the ground.
Да, конечно, Оливейра очень опасный, с любой позиции может душить. Но просто перевести у Оливейра не такая вольная борьба. Допустим, моя работа, да, я люблю переводить. То есть я его перевожу, и он может контратаку какую-то сделать, там, душающую взять, как он взял меня там. То есть это возни не будет. Topuria просто будет работать, боксировать, не будет пытаться его переводить, так как у него намного лучше бокс, чем у Оливейра. А у Оливейра, мне кажется, недостаточно вольной борьбы, чтобы перевести Topuria.
Renato Moicano also weighed in on the highly anticipated matchup, offering his take on how things might unfold. While he recognized that Ilia Topuria enters the fight as the favorite, Moicano was quick to emphasize that Charles Oliveira should not be underestimated, describing him as a resilient and dangerous fighter. Initially, Moicano admitted he was leaning toward Topuria to win, but after giving more thought to Oliveira's wealth of experience and well-rounded skill set, he changed his stance and is now backing Oliveira to come out on top.
Man, that's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles, and you never can't Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough. Man, but Topuria is good, you know. He's 145. It's going to be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't have an opinion on that. I was leaning more to Topuria, but today I just had a podcast with Charles on my Brazilian channel, and it's just very hard to not like the guy. The guy's, and that makes harder, you know, to pick against him. So I'm going with Charles just because he's Brazilian.
Backing Ilia Topuria to win, Kamaru Usman also weighed in with his opinion. He highlighted the conviction and fearlessness Topuria brings into every fight. Usman praised Topuria for proving his dominance by defeating top-level opponents like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, and stated that Ilia has earned every right to be confident going into this matchup.
And he believes in that conviction so much to where, hey, put up Conor, I'll put him to sleep. Put up Charles Oliveira, I'll put him to sleep. Put up Islam, I'm put him to sleep. Like, he has that conviction. And hey, he's told us that twice now in these world title fights. And what did everyone do? Everyone went, I don't know. Volkanovski is a beast, you can't do that. We went out there, And he did it. And then he goes, give me Max Holloway. And we're like, oh, I don't know. Max Holloway, the best boxer in the UFC. I don't know if you could do that. He went out there and did it. So him calling for a fight like this, I think the UFC does 100%. I think you give him what he wants.
Sharing his thoughts on the fight, Adam Catterall pointed out that it will likely be a close contest and highlighted the impressive fighting career of Charles Oliveira. He also noted that things might be stacked against Ilia Topuria, pointing out that if Jai Herbert was able to drop Topuria, then Oliveira, being naturally the bigger and more experienced fighter, could have an even greater chance of doing the same.
Because, listen, it's a close fight because Charles Oliveira is the former champion. He has got record after record after record on his ledger. He's been there, done it, and got the t-shirt. And he is the naturally bigger guy coming into this particular fight. And there are things that go against Ilia Topuria. Let's talk about the things that go against Ilia Topuria coming into this, right? He has fought at 155 before, and he did it in London, didn't he, against Jai Herbert? We saw that fight ourselves. And if Jai Herbert can drop Ilia Topuria, you better back your bottom dollar that Charles Oliveira can do it.
Calling Charles Oliveira a reckless fighter, Adam highlighted the strong belief system that drives Oliveira and elevates his performance in every fight. He noted that Charles has the ability to take risks and make the fight exciting, pushing the pace in ways few can. Adam questioned whether Ilia Topuria can truly handle and overcome such an unpredictable and fearless opponent.
Charles Oliveira, in order to be so amazing and become the fans' favourite, is a reckless fighter. That's what makes him so exciting. He is reckless. He is willing to take shots in order to dish shots out. He's willing to put himself in compromising positions in order to get the submissions. He's willing to do all of those things in order to become successful. And 9 times out of 10 recently, not earlier on in his career when he was a 145er, but now he is absolutely excelling in those types of exchanges, mainly because of a belief system that he's got in his own ability.
Yeah.
Can you be that reckless with a man that very rarely presents an opportunity?
Continuing his review and breakdown, Adam Catterall noted that, technically, Ilia Topuria is the more polished fighter. Speaking on the tactical aspects of the matchup, he emphasized that the outcome will heavily depend on Topuria's approach, whether he allows Charles Oliveira to be his unpredictable, dangerous self, or turns the bout into a clinical performance. Ultimately, Adam believes it all comes down to Topuria's game plan.
You've seen him dropped, as I just said, against Jai Herbert, but look what happened. He tightened up, he didn't present another opportunity, and then he nailed Jai Herbert in the very next round and took him out. So, when I look at the technicalities of each guy, Ilia Topuria is the better guy. I genuinely believe that. I think technically he is the better guy. Will he present the opportunities for Charles to be Charles, or will it be a clinic?
Meanwhile, Javier Mendez and Tim Welch have also shared their thoughts on the matchup. Javier acknowledged that Ilia Topuria has a higher chance of winning, but admitted he's personally rooting for Charles Oliveira to come out on top. He agreed with Tim Welch's assessment that Topuria is the kind of fighter who's extremely difficult to beat, making this a tough challenge for Oliveira.
Power puncher, boxer, low stance, versus Charles Oliveira, who kind of stands in a high Muay Thai stance, marches forward with knees. If someone gave you $100,000 to bet on that fight, who would you bet?
Ilia.
By knockout?
I don't know, but I would if someone gave me $100,000 and but if you're asking me who I would want to win, I'll put Charles. I'll put my money on Charles.
Yeah, that's who you'd want.
Yeah, so that's who I'd want. Yeah. But if you'd give me 100 to make 100, you know, if it's that type of even, like you get 100, you can make 100. I would put Ilia.
Yeah.
He feels he cannot be beaten.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, gosh, you know as well as anybody, like, the confidence is, that's a big one. If one fighter...
Javier further noted that Ilia Topuria is an extremely dangerous fighter. Breaking down the matchup, he explained that Charles Oliveira tends to stand upright, which could give Topuria a perfect opportunity to land a powerful shot to the chin, similar to what he did against Volkanovski. Mendez also pointed out that if Oliveira doesn't effectively use his knees or front kicks up the middle to create space, he may struggle to secure takedowns against Topuria.
Very, very confident, and they can back it up. I mean, that's a dangerous dude.
Yes, very, very dangerous. You know, very, very dangerous.
Why else do you think you would pick Ilia over Charles? What is it about his skill set that you like more?
It's basically because Charles is going to stand in there upright, like you're saying, and when he gets inside, he's going to use that boxing, and Charles' head's going to be up, and Ilia's got a really good way of connecting with that chin on the inside. Really, really nice, just like what he did with Volk. You know, and I think if Charles doesn't get him up the middle with knees or front kicks up the middle, he's going to have a hard time with his boxing against him, and he's going to have a hell of a time trying to take him down.
Javier also pointed out that this fight presents an opportunity where Ilia Topuria has the upper hand. However, he also acknowledged that Charles Oliveira has the potential to surprise the MMA world with his exceptional skill set. Javier went on to highlight several of Oliveira's strengths, such as his dangerous submissions, creative striking, and unpredictable style, which could play a key role in securing a win if used effectively.
So it's going to be one of those where Ilia's got more opportunities than Charles does, but Charles can surprise us with his length, you know, and up the middle would be really, really well suited for him. And the kicks too, you know, body, head type thing, you know, low, high, you know, he could do really well with that.
As the clock ticks down to UFC 317, the stage is set for a clash between unstoppable force and unshakable legacy. With fighters and fans split and even experts shifting their picks, one thing is clear: this isn't just a fight, it's a statement. Whether Ilia Topuria continues his undefeated rise, or Charles Oliveira proves that greatness doesn't fade, history will be made. June 28th, T-Mobile Arena, don't blink. This one's already written in fire. If you're just as hyped as we are, don't forget to like, comment your prediction, and share this with your fight crew. Let the debate begin.